Reason, you got to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I get stuck at the very base, just at the very beginning of this, that I get frustrated because I listen to these debates and stuff, and I hear, Christians are basically arguing. I get stuck at the whole the Bible is the Word of God thing. I know you're probably annoyed with this kind of basic atheist. I'm not an atheist, but I kind of get stuck there because I never hear a satisfying answer.
Well, what's the problem with, ultimately the quote Word of God is identified in John 1 as the second person of the Godhead. It's the actual living person of Christ. It's not, but in a lesser sense, we could say that the Bible is quote the Word of God in the sense that it reveals things about the Messiah or the Logos.
Yeah, but I'm still stuck at, you're referring back to the book as proof that the book is the Word of God. So
I didn't make that argument. When did I say that the book proves the book?
Well, you just quoted John something or another.
I'm telling you our position about what the Word of God is in its strictest sense. It's not the book. It's the person. A person is not a book. But in a lesser sense, it's a reference also to the text. But the text revealed the person, just like if somebody wrote a letter to you about me, could you say, well, do I know Jay? Well, you know me in the sense of reading the letter about me, but that's different from knowing me directly.
Right. Okay. So it's, and you're using that analogy to say that the gospel of the apostles is sort of the letter that you're kind of referring
exactly.
to there. And so these people are talking about, and so we kind of gather who God is and who Jesus was based on sort of a triangulation of these different accounts. And that's...
Yeah, well, who Jesus is derived, from messianic prophecies, the claims and all of that. But the proof for why that religion is the case versus others, I would argue, or atheism or whatever, I would argue the transcendental argument's the strongest proof for that.
Okay, I don't think I understand. I'm a Buddhist, so for me, it's really simple. It's a little more like the Buddha would say, don't take my word for it. Like, I'm telling you, this is kind of how the brain works. And this is, you've got these desires. And if you can sort of watch them and not attach to them, then you kind of unlock a different, I'm simplifying, but you can kind of unlock a different state of being. And don't take my word for it. Sit down and here's some instructions that you can follow. And then you can follow those instructions and then experience it for yourself or not. But go figure it out, test it yourself and see whether it works.
I think the problem with Buddhism, as I understand it, I'm not an expert in it, I've just kind of had a few interactions and read a little bit. I think the main problem with most of the Far Eastern religions in general is that they really end up denying fundamental principles of logic. They would say that's, quote, Western. And so at root, there's almost an acceptance of contradictions and absurdities. And if that's the case, then you can't do debate at all, because debate presupposes abstract invariant principles of logic and critical thinking. And if Buddhism is true, those things don't really exist in some concrete way. So if Buddhism is true, you can't debate.
I've never heard that argument. Could you elaborate?
Okay, so do you think that there are, as a Buddhist, universal laws of logic?
Yes.
Okay, where are they? How do they exist?
Where do they come from? I think it's. Yeah. I'm not. You're gonna be able to outdebate me on Aristotelian logic or whatever.
Well, any kind.
It seems, from what I understand, I've been into the Buddhism thing for 2 decades. That he's actually quite logical. He's basically saying cause and effect is sort of experimentation. So try this. Sit down. Here's a technique. Try it, and then see whether it works. People in the West kind of.
It's a different question. So maybe the Buddha was really good at doing logic, but this is a different order or level of questioning, which is what is logic in that worldview, and how is it the case? So I'm asking for the ontological status of logic and universals, math, these kinds of abstract principles. Not can I do them and do they work? What are they? Where are they? And how do they work?
I don't think I have a good answer for that. What would you say in the?
Well, in Christianity, there is an example for that. There's an answer for that because
Okay.
God is a personal being and not an impersonal absolute like in Buddhism. And so, reality, the life, the world that we're in has meaning. It has a telos. It has intentionality. And I would argue, if Buddhism is true, as far as I understand it, there is no meaning, telos, or intentionality in the world.
Oh, I mean, I don't think that's really a good reading on Buddhism, but I can't really. I'm not knowledgeable enough on the logic, kind of giving an
Well,
epistemological
okay. I mean,
basis
is
for
there a purpose?
logic.
Is there purpose in the world? Is there telos?
Is there purpose in the world?
Yeah, or is this a world to escape from?
Yeah, okay, I see. I think I see where you're getting at. I think what the Buddha would say is that the feelings of the sense of purpose is a sense that we can experience, and that if you experience
Is it
that,
purely subjective, or is it an abstract? Is it an objective principle, or is it purely subjective? Is what I'm asking.
is it purely objective?
Or subjective.
I don't know if I have a good answer. That's a good question. I don't know if I have a good answer
Okay.
for
I mean,
what.
fair enough. I mean, yeah, so I'm not trying to be mean or trap you or whatever. It's just
No,
like,
no, I don't feel. I know you're. I didn't. You know, you could. I'm sure debate circles around me on many things, but yeah, I haven't really. I'm not really sure what to say about that. I just know that from what I know, it's a little more experiential. So it's saying that here's some instructions. Let me put it this way. I think the Buddha is more like, here's some instructions. Follow these instructions, and then tell me if you don't feel a sense of purpose about your life, and those things will come to pass.
well, that,
You
yeah.
will feel them in your. And
Okay.
you're saying that's subjective.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm trying to be. It just sounds no different than like, you know, well, I do what feels good to me, man. I mean, I understand it's more sophisticated than that, but it potentially might boil down to that. So, let's see who's next. We're not here to do diet debates, man. I'm not trying to be rude to you, but it's not diet debate day.